Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. In the first story, our OP's car broke down and he urgently needed to stop. He had the misfortune of stopping outside the store of a grumpy old lady who wasn't happy about it. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. You can't park here. This parking lot is for customers only. Years back, I had a 1986 Chevy Cavalier. My dad gifted it to me, which was super nice of him. It was not the greatest car, but it got me from point A to point B, usually without any problems. One day, I was headed to a friend's place, but I forgot that the Woodward Dream Cruise was going on. Side note, people who live near this event call it the Woodward Nightmare Cruise. It's an unending line of classic cars driving up and down Woodward Avenue from Detroit to Birmingham, an annual mobile homage to Detroit being the Motor City. And good times if you like old cars, modified vehicles, or craziness like motorized sofas or bar stools. As you can imagine, it draws quite a lot of people each year and causes some extreme gridlock. So I'm caught in the cruise, and maybe a half hour in of stop-and-go traffic has my old car overheated. If I didn't get some coolant, my engine was going to be done. I'm a few blocks from a gas station, but traffic just isn't moving, so I pulled into the first driveway and parked in front of a shop I'd never noticed. As I pulled in, steam was seriously shooting out from under my hood. Just as I'm getting out of my car, this 60-ish gray-haired lady in a purple skirt comes running out of the shop and yells, "You can't park here! This is customer parking only!" I looked at her, and then my car, and she stammers, "You need to move your car or I'm calling the police!" I wasn't going to move my car. Driving at all would have literally killed it. But immediately, inspiration tickled my brain, and I decided to walk into this woman's shop. She was clearly pissed off by this move and ended shadowing me around her shop, watching me like an angry hawk. The place turned out to be one of those New Age incense, candle, astrology-type shops. Okay, whatever, I can work with it. I calmly scrutinized every single item she sold. All with her watching my every move. She followed me the entire time. In hindsight, I'm surprised that she didn't have a stroke. Meanwhile, this one other attendant working is getting her butt kicked by how busy this little place is the whole time, as she's doing all the actual work. I felt bad for the lady working, but I can practically guarantee this store lost a fair amount of money because this lady insisted on badgering me, both to shoplifting by other people, which I had no intention of, and to people just leaving because their checkout time was crazy long. About 3 hours later, the crowds thinned out, and I'd seen literally every item there was to see in this place. At this point, I figured my car was cooled off enough to make the short drive to that nearby gas station. I snatched up a dollar item I'd come across hours ago, a tiny violet-colored floating turtle-shaped candle, and I paid for it. She was still visibly angry and very unfriendly as she rang up this single, insignificant, and inexpensive item. As I left, receipt in hand, of course, I smiled and said, "Wow, looks like I'm a paying customer. Bye-bye." Angry gray-haired lady actually said nothing, but she literally turned red in the face. Also, the second cashier was somehow laughing hysterically as I walked out. Oh, and my mom ended up loving the little turtle candle. And our second story. The Karenest Karen I've ever been Karened by. So I worked at a restaurant/bar as a host. My first job for about 2 years. And during that time, I saw my fair share of beggars and Karens, but one instance particularly stands out in my memory. Typical night shift, busy around dinner time and gradually slows down. Around the time that it's starting to get late and the restaurant's slowly becoming quieter. Now, being a host, I never dealt with any of the dine-in customers, only takeouts and phone orders. So this woman comes in the front door with her probably 8 or 9-year-old daughter, and the second she does, I immediately thought, oh, F, here we go, as she had the full stereotypical Karen look. The haircut, soccer mom capri pants, expensive sunglasses, the whole shebang. She walked up, and of course I greeted her with a friendly smile, to which she replied that she was there to pick up a takeout order. I pulled up her order to take her payment, and it was a pretty hefty order, around $150 or $200 if I remember correctly. She tells me she has a coupon, which is usually a lifesaver because it makes the process so much faster. So I take the coupon from her and take a look at it. It was for something like a free kids meal, but I quickly noticed that the coupon had in a large, bolded red font dead center on the front, "Dine in only." I hand Karen back her coupon, and as politely as I can tell her, I'm unable to accept this coupon since it only applied to dine-in meals. Karen did not like that, not at all. She proceeded to correct me and tell me that the coupon was, in fact, valid because I was a 16-year-old working at minimum wage. Obviously, I have no clue what I'm talking about, right? I explained to her again that the coupon could only be applied to dine-in orders and even added that I would be happy to seat her and plate her still hot and fresh food to enjoy in the restaurant so she'd be able to use the coupon. I had to physically point to the dine-in only lettering multiple times as I attempted to explain that I physically have no way of entering the coupon since it was for dine-in only. Then she asked for the manager. Whoa, huge surprise. So I get my manager and quickly explain the situation. Then he follows me to the front and asks how he can help Karen. So this entitled, privileged, genuinely stupid B-word proceeds to rant to my manager for about 15 minutes about how stupid, lazy, and useless of an employee I am. This whole time she's going off screaming about how she's used these coupons for takeout in the past and how I should be fired for being such a terrible employee. They shouldn't be hiring young brats like me. The customer's always right. Blah, blah, mother effing blah. She also mentions multiple times how she's come to the restaurant for years, therefore they should make an exception for her. At the end of her rant, my manager, a tall, middle-aged man who's usually very trusted by Karens, asked to see the coupon she brought in. He did not hesitate at all to point out the dine-in only print written on the coupon and proceeds to explain to her the exact same thing I'd previously explained to her 16 times. At this point, Karen is so enraged, I can clearly remember seeing smoke shoot out of her nostrils while the vein in her forehead was about to erupt. Finally, and begrudgingly, accepting that the coupon could not be used, she hits us with the, "Fine, I guess I'll just pay for it." Now, it's at this point I'll remind you that her bill was fairly large. I'm also going to point out that this was a Boston pizza, which is notorious for overpricing food. So my manager walks away and I tell Karen her total and ask how she's paying. She looked at me with the most evil stare I've ever seen in my life as she began screaming about how expensive it was. She insisted I had the order wrong because there's no way it could be that much, which led to me reading out her entire order and listing the price for each dish, while Karen sat there trying to do math in her stupid little brain. After another 5 minutes or so of haggling with her about the price and getting screamed at the whole time, Karen finally decided she had enough and screams, "You know what? I don't even want the food anymore, and you just lost a customer," before stomping out. Never have I felt the amount of satisfaction as I did when I waved goodbye to her with the biggest effing smile on my face. Bonus, I also spent 10 minutes on the phone once with a man who did not understand the concept of, "If you're outside the delivery zone, we cannot deliver to you." One of my rare male Karen encounters. I was waiting for her to complain about the cool-down food, too, after all this discussion. And our last story. Sued my former employer and won. About a year ago, I was working for a meat distributor. I was the delivery driver. Over the year and a half, I pointed out the unsafe working conditions of the places I deliver to. Many restaurants' delivery rooms were disgusting. Some didn't wear masks, narrow staircases with garbage everywhere, water everywhere on the floor. One place I had to put my stuff on an elevator, get off, push a button for it to go up, then climb one story up to where my dolly is, and then bring it in. All of these I photographed and told my boss, the owner of the company. Every level of management in between him and me got laid off when COVID started, that I didn't feel safe delivering to these places, and asked him to talk to the clients. He brushed it off and said he would. He didn't. My second last day, I was at my last stop, and there was a dog in the delivery area for the restaurant I was delivering to. Not just a knee-high mutt, a fully grown Bernese mountain dog, waist-high, easily 150 pounds. That dog knew I had meat, and since he was off-leash, he followed me everywhere, from my van to the kitchen. I love dogs, but this guy was getting in my way. I tried getting him to stay and back up. He didn't listen. I asked the owner if he could tie him up. The conversation went as follows. Owner, why? He isn't bothering anyone. Me, sorry, he's just getting in my way. Owner, and who are you? Nobody, that's who. I don't give a F about you. Me, okay, sorry, I'll just drop your boxes and go. Owner, no, who do you think you are telling me what to do with my dog? At this point, he's following me out of the store to my van, screaming his head off about how I was being disrespectful and how I was a piece of crap. Owner, just drop the boxes and F off. Me. Okay. I start putting his order of 300 pounds of various box sizes on the pavement without bringing them in. He starts screaming even more. I tell him I don't feel safe here, finish dropping his stuff off, and leave. I called my boss and told him the story. He said we'd talk more about it the next day. Next day, as soon as I walk in the door, he pulls me into his office and fires me on the spot, tells me, "It's like you don't even want to work." I accept the firing and leave. As I'm walking to my car, one of my workplace friends is walking to the door, getting ready for work. Obviously, the story blew him away, and he tells me to call WorkSafe, BC's workers' rights group. They were phenomenal. They called my former boss to get a statement from him, which the oaf shot himself in the foot. He told them I didn't want to work because I kept complaining about unsafe delivery places. His exact effing words. They recorded it and played it at our court hearing. I only wish he showed up instead of just sending his lawyer so I could have seen his fat effing face cringe at that. I got severance pay until I started my next job 7 weeks later. Had to do some courses for my next job, which he paid me the entire time to do. God, that's hilarious. Many of these bosses are incredibly stupid, and it'd only take a small but communal effort to topple them over. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.